I'm finished with us." Her words fell with the weight of a hammer, but I didn't flinch. Emily, my wife of nearly 7 years, sat across the table with folded arms and a carefully rehearsed expression. She wanted to look firm, strong, and untouchable. In her mind, this was the grand finale of our marriage, the climax where I would beg, plead, maybe even cry. Instead, I only nodded, a small, calm gesture. Inside, though, something sharp twisted. I wasn't shattered. I wasn't lost. I was already planning. I had suspected Emily's affair long before her announcement. It started with late nights at the gallery where she worked, excuses that didn't quite fit, sudden interest in her appearance, a phone that became glued to her hand. I wanted to trust her. I told myself it was stress, new projects, or just a phase. But then I found the messages, love notes hidden in her email, plans for trips that never included me. His name was Aaron, some wealthy art dealer who swooped into town 6 months ago. From the moment I pieced it together, I knew. My wife was no longer mine. Still, I kept quiet. I pretended to know nothing, because a part of me wanted to see how far she would go. And when she finally sat across from me and declared the end of us, I felt almost relieved. The charade was over, but I wasn't going to walk away empty-handed. Emily underestimated me. She thought I was boring, predictable, the kind of man who would crumble when betrayed. She never realized that my calmness was my weapon, so I played along. "If that's what you want," I said, my voice steady, almost detached. Her eyes searched my face, expecting pain, desperation, some attempt to stop her. But I gave her nothing. That seemed to unsettle her, and it gave me satisfaction. The following weeks were a strange blur of pretending. She moved her things little by little, spending more nights with friends, though we both knew where she really was. I went to work, came home, cooked for myself, and said nothing. But at night, while she thought I was asleep, I was planning. Emily never cared much for finances. That was always my territory. Our accounts, investments, and even the mortgage were all under my management. She liked the spending part, not the tracking part. I knew she assumed she would walk away with comfort, maybe even half of everything. But Emily never really paid attention to the quiet transfers, the restructured accounts, the way assets moved in and out. She didn't realize that by the time she was ready to officially leave, what was ours would mostly be mine. Still, revenge wasn't just about money. It was about truth, about exposing the carefully constructed image she had of herself. Emily liked to think she was sophisticated, cultured, someone admired in her circles. What she didn't count on was how small the art world actually is, how whispers travel faster than light. I began dropping subtle information to colleagues of Aaron's, to clients who trusted me financially and socially. A well-placed comment here, a suggestion there. Nothing direct, never enough to trace back to me. But rumors don't need much fuel. Within a month, Emily's affair was no longer her delicious little secret. It was a stain spreading across her world. One evening, she confronted me. She stormed into the house, face red, voice sharp. "Are you telling people lies about me?" she snapped. I looked at her with calm indifference. Why would I waste my time lying? She glared, frustrated by my composure. That was the beauty of it. I didn't need to confess. I didn't need to fight. The more unbothered I appeared, the more she unraveled. And then came the moment I had waited for. She brought divorce papers, tossed them on the table, and waited for me to react. I signed them immediately. She looked stunned, as if she expected resistance. But what really broke her composure was the clause she hadn't noticed. The financial settlement I had maneuvered so carefully. She was walking away with far less than she imagined. "You tricked me," she whispered, flipping through the pages. "No," I said, leaning back in my chair. "You tricked yourself. You stopped paying attention a long time ago. The weeks that followed were chaos. For her. For me, they were freedom. Aaron, her shiny new lover, wasn't as solid as she thought. Once whispers about her reputation reached him, his interest began to fade. Wealthy men like him don't cling to scandals. They move on to the next beautiful distraction. Emily, who thought she had upgraded, suddenly found herself untethered. No husband, no lover, no stable ground. I didn't gloat, at least not publicly. That wasn't my style, but inside there was a satisfaction in watching her carefully built world crumble. I had given her everything once, my trust, my loyalty, my love. She chose betrayal, so I gave her nothing in return. One night, months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into her by accident. She looked tired, older somehow, the glow gone from her face. We were strangers now, standing in the same cafe, waiting for coffee. She gave me a small, hesitant smile. "Daniel," she said softly, as if the weight of our history sat heavy on her tongue. I simply nodded, just as I had that night when she declared she was finished with us. That nod had become my answer to her, my refusal to give her any more of me. As I walked out with my coffee, I felt lighter than I had in years. My payback wasn't about screaming or fighting. It wasn't about dramatic confrontations. It was about letting her destroy herself, while I quietly built a new life without her. And in the end, that was the sweetest revenge of all.